late about the line track. These old balls about to break my back. I said, oh boy, get your line on the track. Oh boy, you get the line on.
Hello, guys of United Rock Nations. We're Bernie Marsden here in Paris.
Here in Paris, yeah. No,
Everything is going well.
Everything's okay today. I had problems with Eurostar yesterday.
Oh,
Well, they had problems, and that meant I had problems, and many, many more people. But it's always good to be in the great city of Paris. It's always good.
So we will talk about the new album, Shine. But of course, I have some questions about your past career.
There is a past.
Yes, there is a past. And of course, I would like to ask you something about the Whitesnake period.
Okay.
If you're okay with
Yeah,
that. Okay.
problem.
So you recorded 6 studio albums with Whitesnake and 1 live album. What is your view of that period if you come back?
Well, I mean, it's the most important creative period of my career. If those records had not been made, we wouldn't be talking now. So,
Absolutely.
I'm not dumb enough or stupid to think that, oh well, that's just part of my career. That's the big part of my career. But there's been a long part of that career before, and an even longer part after.
Yes.
And here we are with a brand new record. So I must still be doing something right. So
It's good.
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about that period?
No, not at all. I regret that it didn't last a little bit longer, because I think we could have had a situation where, Queen, I know, used to have some situations where they would go apart from each other for a year and then come back and there would be another Queen album. But having said that, the records that Whitesnake made after my time, some of them are very, very good, and the records that David has made since Whitesnake, with whether they're David Coverdale albums and Whitesnake or whatever he wants to call it, everything's relative. I always think, like, when I was a kid, I watched George Best and Dennis Law play football for Man United. Well, I still watch Man United, but those guys don't play anymore. But I still support Manchester United. Sometimes, and Whitesnake is still out there, so that's great. And it's just, so Whitesnake is relative, and some of the other stuff is not relative anymore. So Whitesnake is still an active working band,
yes.
And I think that's great.
Good. When I was preparing this interview, I take a look at your career, and you wrote a lot of albums, a lot of collaborations. But there is one collaboration I discovered when I was preparing this interview. You wrote a song for the movie Still Crazy. It's one of my favorite movie.
Yeah.
And I was searching a woman like that.
A woman like that, yeah.
Tell how you were involved on that.
Yeah, I didn't. I have to say that I didn't write that song.
Okay.
I sang that song.
Only. Okay.
I sang and played on that song. It was written by Jeff Lynne.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asked to be involved in this movie with Ian Lafrene and Dick Clement and Ian Lafrene, and I didn't know what it was going to be. So I got involved in some work, but I was kind of doing the wrong kind of work. I thought it was going to be for the soundtrack. And they said, no, we want you to sing a song in the soundtrack. So I got a kind of the wrong end of the job. But I ended up on the album anyway. But I was really pleased, because this is a great secret film.
Yes, absolutely.
And it didn't do very well. I guess it was a failure, especially at the box office. But it's probably one of the best music,
Yes.
kind of biography films ever made. You have Billy Connolly, you have all these kind of people in it, acting really well. Timothy Spall, just wonderful acting.
Absolutely.
And the music is very good, and the band are very authentic inside it. It's a shame that more people haven't seen that movie. It's a great thing to see on DVD.
It's sort of my favorite movie.
Oh, good. I mean, I have the closing song, so I can say I have to wait till the end every time I see it, so it's all right, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the new album, Shine. Can you tell us more about the writing process? Did you write all the stuff alone?
Pretty much. I just had I never stopped writing. I've been working on new songs the last 10 days, so there's always a creative buzz going on somewhere. Most of the songs on Shine have been building up over the last 5-6 years probably.
Oh, okay.
And just I would maybe keep 4 ideas that I think, these could be good, and then I would keep one and turn the other 3 into one, and try and keep the thing stronger. And I must have had some kind of premonition that in 2013 they're going to offer you a record deal, so keep these songs. So I kept all these songs, well, say all of these songs, a lot of these songs, just because I thought they were worth keeping. And then suddenly I come along and I get offered this deal with Mascot.
Yes.
And I think, well, at least I have a few songs. I wrote 3 or 4 more or less during the sessions, had some ideas for them, so that was easy to do.
You compose only at the guitar, or you play other instruments?
Mainly guitar. I write sometimes on a tenor guitar, which is a 4-string guitar. I'm much more limited on that guitar, so that it makes the song sometimes simpler. And sometimes I try on piano sometimes, but I'm just not good enough. It's just, I go back to the guitar. But writing on the tenor is quite good, and also the mandolin, which is it's the same tuning. Okay. So writing on a mandolin is very good because it makes me work a certain way. So a couple of these songs came from mandolin. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There are a lot of prestigious guests on this album. For example, Joe Bonamassa, of course, David Coverdale. How you choose these collaborations for this album?
Well, obviously with David it was
yes,
obvious because of its trouble, but just to have David involved for me is great. It's just very special, and it was great. I just had the idea to do Trouble. I sent him a very rough version, what I thought I would do it, and he sang this magnificent vocal, and then he rang me and he said, "You're going to have to do the guitars again." And I went, "Really?" He went, "Really?" And so I did, and I'm just so happy with the finished.
The way he sings in this song is different from the original song.
Yeah, we always said the first Whitesnake album was recorded quite quickly, and when you take those songs on the road, they develop.
Yes.
So we were on the road, and so we were playing Trouble every night, and we always said, Trouble's great, but we could have done it a little tougher, a little harder. So 35 years later, we get to do it. We get to do it like that. And he's singing absolutely incredibly. It's the same key as we originally did it, and the tempo is tough. Ian Pace plays drums on it. So I guess it's a pure Whitesnake track, really. I play bass as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
and Joe Bonamassa?
Joe, we've been good friends for 4 years now, maybe longer. And Joe was instrumental in me making this album. He doesn't accept that kind of credit, but I played with Joe on about 6 or 7 occasions on stage.
Oh,
he invited me out to play with him on stage in Switzerland, in Germany.
He's touring now, actually.
Yes. And every night I played with him with 3,000-4,000 people. Somebody from the record company was there. So these young guys from the record company must have gone back to the office in Holland. I said, this guy keeps playing with Joe. He keeps inviting him, and when he comes out, the people go crazy and they love this guy.
Oh, great!
But they said, and the boss said, "Well, who is it?" They said, "We don't know. It's Bernie somebody." And he said, "I think I know who that is," and that was it.
They didn't know who is.
Well, they're young guys. Why would they really? Just another guitar player playing with Joe. But Ed Van Zyl, he's a rare thing these days. He's the head of a record company that loves music. This is unusual. This is unusual. And he just said to me, "Look, why don't you make an album for the label?" And I said, "Well, really? What will I do?" And he said, "Make a Bernie Marsden album." And I thought that showed great faith. and it made me feel good. And I said, okay, so if I'm going to make a good album for you, let's make it properly. Let's do a proper producer. Let's go in a real proper studio. So I went to Abbey Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about the recording sessions.
The sessions were great. They were very good atmosphere. We recorded almost all of it at Abbey Road. We recorded 3 tracks, I think, at a studio in the west of England, a studio that was recommended to me by Robert Plant, where he recorded Mighty Rearranger. And I did 3 tracks down there, I think it was. And then we remixed them, we finished them at Abbey Road. And it was just a joy to record there. I mean,
was that the first time for you?
No, I worked there in the 70s. I was with a band called Babe Ruth, and we recorded there, and we mixed an album there in the 70s. And even then, I knew it was a special place to be, but I was much younger, and there wasn't so much focus on Abbey Road as a brand, you know. But now it's you really do. There's a vibe in there. There's an atmosphere in there that goes more past the history, because the basic line is it's the best studio in the world. They have everything with the new technology, but they also have everything from the old days. And I mean everything. So the piano on Who Do We Think We Are is the same piano that's on A Day in the Life
of the Beatles
on Sgt. Pepper.
Good.
And the organ is the same that John Lennon played on Revolver and Beatles for Sale. They're still there.
Correct.
And the Pink Floyd used this stuff as well.
Do you have tried some amplifiers there? Or?
No, I took my own amplifiers, and I didn't. I could have done, I guess, but I just. I have quite a few amplifiers, so I took my old Marshall amplifiers in. I took an old Gibson amplifier in, and an old Orange amplifier that I have. It's nice to have, and I used some modern technology with plugins, which if you'd have said that to me to start with, I would have said, no, I won't need those. But you know, that's like pretending they don't exist, you know. And they sounded great, so
they sound great, yes.
Very, very good, yeah.
And all the guests were at the Bay Road, or they recorded outside?
David did his thing in America for me at his own studio, but the rest of the guys came into Abbey Road.
So you haven't seen him?
Yeah, I've seen him, but not since. I didn't see him do.
Yes, for the recording.
Yeah. I heard it though. It made me go a little bit. It was emotional when he came to think that he did this for me, just because I asked him. You know, it was a special moment. You know. And Joe Bonamassa came in the studio on his one day off.
Okay.
That's the kind of guy Joe is. Yeah.
I choose 4 songs of the album, and I want to know more about those songs. The first one is kind of Wish She Would. It's like this is a tough song.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that song.
Well, Rob Cass, the producer, he said to me, you know, I've been listening to this song. He said, you've been hanging out with Billy Gibbons too much, because I had done a show with ZZ Top and stuff like that. But I've been a great fan of Billy Gibbons for a long, long time.
Okay.
A long time before Eliminator, you know. Okay. I was listening to Billy Gibbons on the first album. So, and we met...
Albums like Fandango.
Before even that, you know, just... And we have a lot in common with the people we listened to when we started to play. We're about the same age, I think. And he's a huge Peter Green fan, and so am I. And we talked about Peter Green, we talked about guitars, you know. It's what guitar players do, you know. And he made me he was very kind, he made me up a CD of Billy Gibbons blues tunes on the day. It was great. It was, just fantastic music, stuff I'd never heard before, and I still, you know, it's in my car now, actually. But I just wanted to do a little, take my hat off to that kind of recording. So there's a lot of guitar tones in there that you say, well, what would Billy do here? And I say, well, I think he'd do this, you know. So there's it's a, you know, it's a kind of respect thing to one of my great favourites.
Well, the second one is Trouble, but we have yet to talk about the collaboration with David Coverdale. Shine with Joe Bonamassa. Why this song, especially?
Well, Shine is a kind of, people are saying, and I agree with them, they say, you know, this is like Deep Purple. And I think well, I can understand them saying that because of it's relentless, it's kind of got that, a little bit of Burn vibe about it, you know.
Yes.
Don Airey plays keyboards on it. And he said to me, what do you think John would have done on this? And I said, I think John would have done what you're going to do. And he did. He plays really, really great. And as the track built up, and by the time I'd done a vocal on it, and I thought, this has got to be Joe's track, you know. I mean, sure, I could do the guitar, but hey, you know. And I didn't want to do a straight blues track with Joe Bonamassa. Everybody would have expected, it's going to be a blues track, you know, because he's a great blues player and everything. But, you know, we can play blues as long as we like live, you know, and we're pretty good at it, you know. And so I think he was really pleased that I gave him a track that was, you know, full on and just good rock music. I like the harmony vocal, that works well for me, and the lyrics are kind of psychedelic, and I'm really quite happy with it. And Joe's playing on it is just, it's a dream, isn't it? You know, and the good thing is on the radio, they'll think it's me.
And it will be the next single, the first single of the album?
I don't know. I think the first single is kind of Wish You Would. I think that seems to be the one the radio guys are playing. They're playing that in England at the moment on the radio.
Okay, it's
yeah.
And there is the last song I like a lot. It's You Better Run.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds more hard than blues.
Yeah.
It's more like Whitesnake.
That's one of the songs I wrote down in the other studio, and I just got back one night to my room, and I had this idea, and I thought, you know what, let's do like a full-on rock song in the old style. And if you're going to do harmony guitars like Whitesnake, let's do it. So there's a little bit of Whitesnake in there. Well, quite a lot of Whitesnake, quite a lot of Thin Lizzy in there.
Absolutely.
And the lyrics are about, you know, no more nights out, you know, with dirty rock and roll bands. You know, it's kind of it's not my biography, but it's the way I feel about it. And I tried to change the chords musically. They're not regular rock chords. There's a few subtle changes in there, and they work really, really well. But I like the harmony guitars, and I think that'll be a good live track. I think that'd be great.
When I listen to the album, it sounds that your heart hesitates between rock and blues.
Yeah, it's not a hesitation. That's just that's the way I write. You know, I do everything 100%, and you know, some Walk Away is like American. You know, could be a Toto track kind of thing. But, you know, I love Toto, always have done, you know. I wish I'd written Hold the Line, you know. You know, thank you very much, that would do me, you know. I know Steve Lukather has said to me one day, you know, he said, well, look, people know what you do, you know, and if they know what you do, you're halfway there, you know. And with something like Walk Away, that can be a radio play, you know, and people have picked that out and said, this is the best song, commercial song. It's an old-fashioned word these days. You know, this is great radio, and they say, but I love Hoxie Rollin' Time, which is so totally different.
Absolutely.
But that's the way I write. You know, I like to go in and out of some different pockets. You know, it's not a hesitation. It's almost I do it on purpose, really. You know, I feel strongly enough with the melodies to carry them through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the secret of your sound, amplifiers, guitars? I know that you're playing with PRS.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know more about that.
Well, the PRS thing, I have a PRS signature,
Yes,
and there's the PRS Bernie Marsden, and it's a very affordable guitar. It's based on one of my older guitars. I have an old Gibson Les Paul, and the neck size is the same, the pickup configuration is the same. But it's a PRS solid body guitar, and it's inexpensive. It's about $600, you know, and it's a hell of a guitar, and it's turned out to be the best-selling SE guitar in the catalogue.
Okay, but it's the same. You play with the same guitar that people can buy on
I
stores?
play the exact same guitar that the people can buy in the shops, and it's on about 75% of the album. I use the old Les Paul as well, a guitar called the Beast. And I use that for solo work, and I think on one rhythm track. But to be honest with you, it's written on the boxes, but I've forgotten which ones they were. And I used a couple of other guitars, a PRS Modern Eagle, which I've had about 6 years, one of my favourites. And I think I used an old Gibson 335 as well on a couple of tracks. So, and a Gibson Firebird on one track. I think I just got it that day or something. Just tried to put it on. So that sounds great. And the one on the album cover, that's one of mine. That's a limited edition which had different pickups on, and I use one of those occasionally. But the reason that's on the album cover is that's the one I took that day for the shoot. So there's no big deal in it, you know. but they're doing really well. So PRS is really good for me. It's a best-selling guitar. They're very happy. I'm very happy. But most importantly, the guitarists who are buying the guitar, they're very, very happy. I get an email every day from somewhere in the world.
Oh, great.
Somebody bothers to email me to say, I just bought one of your guitars and it is the best guitar I've ever had. So that's really good. So things are good, you know.
And the amplifiers and the effects you use?
The amplifiers, I use the old Marshalls. I used an old Gibson small combo amp, a Gibson Ranger, I think 1961. It has a great tremolo in it, really warm, really sexy. And I used an old orange amp that I've had many years. Some days it works, some days it doesn't, but I don't touch it. It's really good. And I used a Marshall hand-wired 18-watt amplifier and a Marshall 1-watt small head. Yeah, but they sound like a stack. They're really good. They're really good. But most of the groundwork on the backing tracks was done with the old Marshalls, you know, with a 4x12.
Whose guitarist impressed you the most?
You mean in all time?
Yes.
That's a big question. Impressed me the most? Impressed has been an impression on me. That's quite different. I mean, I have to say that the guy that made me want to play the guitar was Eric Clapton. You know, I mean, obviously I was a Beatles fan, so George Harrison, but I thought, oh, I can't do that. But by the time I started to play the guitar, before that was Hank Marvin from the Shadows. Big influence, you know, an important figure for all of us from my generation. I'm proud to say that I can email Hank now and say, hey, I'm going to send you a copy of my new album, you know, because, you know, we've become friends over the years, which is great for me. You know, I still pinch myself about things like that. But when I first heard Eric Clapton, and I was playing the guitar by then, not very well, but I thought, if I'm going to play, that's what I want to do. And through him, I got to know about Peter Green. And then come along this guy from America, what was his name? Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. You know, I mean, what a time to be 18 and 17 growing up playing the guitar. I remember we could get a magazine on a Thursday called Melody Maker in England. Yes, and we would look in the back and say, okay, tomorrow we'll go see Hendrix, Saturday we'll see Clapton, and Sunday we'll see Peter Green. And then one of my friends say, oh, we saw Eric Clapton 2 weeks ago. So, okay, we'll go see the Pink Floyd then instead. That was how it was, you know. Jeff Beck on Monday, you know, in a place as big as this room or something, you know. It's just, it was a fantastic time to be learning to play the guitar. It's never going to happen again. You know, there's never going to be these guys, and the reason being they're still around. You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, say still around, but Hendrix is as big now musically as when he was, well, probably bigger.
It's the main influences of most of guitarists.
I think so. I think so. I mean, but Eric Clapton kind of kicked the whole thing off, really. You know, that whole thing with John Mayall and then the Cream.
Yes.
This was like, you know, one guy playing the guitar, this is what you can do. Nobody could do it. Not many still can do it, you know, but so he would be the guy, I suppose I have to, you know, then after that you come into the Americans and, you know, people like Duane Allman, and suddenly you hear these other different colours coming through. And, you know, I've never been much for listening to the jazz players. I mean, I love what they do. Django Reinhardt, you know, Joe Pass, people like that.
Yes.
But that's kind of always gone over my head. You know, it's so good. But I like B.B. King and I like Freddie King and I like to listen to 30s acoustic blues. So I listen to a lot of different stuff all the time. And there's some good new bands around as well. There's some very good new bands, yeah.
So let's talk about the future. I take a look at your site. You will play some concerts, some gigs.
I've got about 25 shows lined up in England in the autumn.
Mainly, yes.
It would be nice to be able to get back over here. So we try and play somewhere like the New Morning. Would be nice if we could come in December sometime, but I guess they're already booked up. But so we're probably looking at next year. But I would very much like to get back into play. I haven't played in France, I think, in Paris since 1984.
Oh.
So next year will be 30 years, you know, it's 30 years now. So that's too long.
Yes.
That's too long.
We hope to see you in France.
Yeah, Whitesnake even, we didn't come here enough, really. We played some shows. We played a great show in Paris with AC/DC in 1980.
Oh. Okay.
That was incredible. That was at the old Abattoir.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Incredible gig.
What's the lineup of the band actually? The band you play today?
My band is basically a 4 pieces: guitar, keys, drums, and bass.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
people that we know, the drums?
No, I have a different two or three different types of lineup, and
okay.
I never call the guys until a month before I'm going out, because if I book them now for the autumn, maybe they have to go to America, maybe they got to, maybe Jimmy Page has called them to play. You don't know, and they can say, well, you want to do 2 weeks with me, or you want to do 5 months with Jimmy Page? I'm not going to stand in their way, So I wait for a month to go and see who's available. But I know I've got a good book, with lots of good people.
Okay, so it's not a regular lineup.
No, there's no
You
regular
change
lineup.
every time.
I change pretty much it.
Okay.
I change every tour usually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Daniel,
thank you very much. My
for
pleasure.
This interview, and buy this album Shine when it will be out. It's a really, really, really great album. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And hope to see you in France very soon.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Bye.
Hi, this is Bernie Marsden, and this is a track from my new album, which is called Shine, and you're watching United Rock Nations. Check it out.